In the previous video, I suggested a definition of innovation that was simple and straightforward. Innovation is something new of value, which kind of raises the question, what is value? How do I create it? And how do I make money from it? If you haven't seen the previous video, that's okay. This one should still make sense. Having said that, I highly recommend you do see it. The link is right below. I've been to workshops and conferences on innovation all over the world, and I usually ask the audience to think about a company they feel personally is very innovative. It can be a company in any market, in any geography, making whatever it is that they want. And then I ask them to just shout out the name at the count of 3. Now, if you're watching this at work, I'm not going to ask you to shout out the name. Also, you would feel kind of foolish shouting back at a video. But I'm going to count down from 3 to 2, to 1, to 0. I'm going to ask you to come up with one name of a company you consider to be innovative. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Now, I don't know what you picked, but quite a few of you picked Apple. I know this because it happens all the time, and I agree. Apple is an incredibly innovative company. But how is it innovative? What did Apple invent? What did they do that was new and exciting and different from anybody else? How did they create something new of value? The answers that I get to that question are usually clear, quick, and wrong. The first answer is usually they invented the MP3 player, which is simply not true. And then somebody will say, well, they came up with a smartphone, which I also know it's not true because I had a smartphone made by Nokia way before the iPhone came out. And then someone will concede that no, they didn't invent the smartphone, but they invented the App Store. Well, no, Nokia also had one of those. By this time, they're getting desperate, so they say, well, how about the multi-touch screen? And I'm sorry, but a whole bunch of companies, including Mitsubishi, came up with multi-touch screens way before Apple used any of those. So what exactly was Apple's innovation in all of this? Because you'll remember, I actually agreed. Apple is an enormously innovative company. The problem is, if we only think about innovation in terms of a new product, a shiny object, then we're going to miss how Apple was innovative. Because I could buy a CD and rip music before the iTunes Store came along, and we had a MP3 player that played music and phones that did some applications and so on. But nobody brought it all together before Apple. And that was the genius. Making it easy, making it slick, making it fun for us to do all of those things at once. And that has been Apple's strategy in terms of innovation from day one. Making technology easy to use, making your life easier, and not having you challenged by new technology. And that, I will contend, is the reason that Apple was the first company ever to hit $1 trillion valuation. That's $1 trillion. That's a 1 followed by 12 zeros. That is called operational excellence, and it's exactly how Apple made their money, by staying focused on making things easier for everybody, bringing a whole bunch of disparate elements together in a way that makes your life cooler, easier, more joyful. Now, customer intimacy, it's a different animal. It's a little bit more complex to describe. And that is because there is a gap between what customers say they need and what they might need in reality and might not be aware of. But if you pay attention to the details, you will discover how to fulfill that need that oftentimes consumers don't even know that they had. Now, this is not about creating a feature-rich offering. Having too many features doesn't help anybody, and most of those features are useless to the end user. Product leadership is what most people think of when they think of innovation. It's coming up with the new thing, the shiny object. And that's all very good if you can keep it up and you can do it. And some companies have done very well out of it, but it's not the only way to go. In the previous video, I kind of hinted that the interplay between the three value disciplines was a little bit like juggling, keeping all of them in the air, which is not exactly true. The better metaphor, I think, is of a tricycle, a three-wheeled vehicle, in that you will have a value discipline that leads the way, that is the strongest one you have. This is what you do best. And then two others that you need to keep in reasonable shape to be able to move ahead. In coming up with an innovation strategy, the first thing you need to do is understand what it is the leading value discipline your company has. And if you've been in business for more than 10 minutes, you will realize that you already have one of them as your leading discipline. Now, we need to make sure that the other two are also well inflated and happy. Whoa, hang on a second. Hold your horses, I hear you say. My company is not some rinky-dink little three-wheeled bicycle thing powered by human muscles. My company is a state-of-the-art three-wheeled car with plenty of power. Is that so? That is really cool. Congratulations. But as long as you have wheels, you need all of them to be properly inflated so you can go to wherever it is that you need to go. Which is simply another way of saying that it doesn't matter which one is your leading discipline. You need balance. And at the end of the day, you need all three of them to be working together for you to succeed. You may, with time, if you're really good at this, have two leading disciplines, two of them that you do especially well. And then you would have a much cooler vehicle and much more profitable and valuable. Another way of thinking about the value disciplines is to think about product leadership as having a monopoly on something. Only we can do this thing. Customer intimacy is something that comes later and then fills in what's missing. It makes your life better by bringing you a richer offering that maybe you didn't know that you needed. And operational excellence might come even later than that, but it will make it easier, better, and it will focus on one thing. It's usually not feature-rich, but it's very easy to use. It makes sense to think of product innovation as something that would be most attractive to early adopters, and to think of customer intimacy as something that you would use to approach the early majority, also the adopters, and to think of operational excellence as a kind of products that would be attractive to everybody, including the majority, late and early. So which value discipline is your leading discipline? And once you know that, how do you plan a strategy that will make you money for years to come? If you liked this video, if you found it interesting or challenging, even better if you found it innovative, would you mind sharing it? It would be a great big help in getting other people to see it, and it's easily done. There's usually one of these two buttons just below. And thank you. I would love the opportunity to help you and your company harness innovation as a growth engine. Please, if you think this is something for you, drop me a line. And thank you again.